Hi there, Benji here with the fourth installment of the series, the Grand Unified Theory of Fretboard Organization. It's a whole mouthful, but it's really like the way that I look at the guitar. And it's a little bit of a sidetrack here, talking about pentatonics the last time, and it's really kind of neat to mix it up, mix a major and minor, right? And it's really the essence of the blues, and that's kind of the idea of the whole idea is to play interesting bluesy things, you know. The idea is that if you just play a minor pentatonics over a major chord, it can sound a little off, you know. And so that basically the B.B. King version way to solve that is to always bend it a little bit and make it a little bit towards the major, you know. Yeah, like that. I get that eye thing. Don't be distracted, right? But the other way to do it is to actually play the scales and put them together, and there's going to be some interesting results from that. Good, let's go right into it. The first thing is we do it in A, right? And here we have an A major pentatonic. Right, around that is two minor pentatonics. The one that starts with the first finger. Starts with the third or fourth finger. Right, and one way to practice that is to go ahead and split it up between like different areas of strings. Basically, like play the first three strings in major and the other three strings in minor, and that gives something like. Like that, but it's easy. It's a good way to teach yourself to really look at these patterns and these fingerings and switch in your mind. You know, basically you start playing and it's okay. Now next is minor. Okay, you see the whole thing, and you just go and play the notes that you kind of overlay and see on the fretboard. Same for let's say the down area here. That's the one thing to do. Furthermore, if you and the idea is to do that all over the fretboard, you know, like A here, or you know, wherever, you know. Stick with this basic position that most people know, and there's some interesting stuff that happens here. Three interesting things that result from that. First of all, adding minor and major pentatonics together gives all the way here's the root note, your A, and here's the ninth, which is like one whole tone above the root note, right? And these, the 9 and the major 3, belong to major, and the minor third and the fourth, like the 11th scale grade, basically like a quad, what do you call it, a fourth interval up, and the blue note belong to minor, right? So, and all together they form this one big chromatic little chromatic sequence all the way to the 5th. You don't have to play it like that because people are going to get irritated with that real quick, but it gives interesting. You always have to kind of relate it back to where it comes from. Something like that, and just kind of play with that a little bit. And the second thing that's really kind of neat is you can use this to create extra tension, meaning there's not much tension in these pentatonics, but what happens is that screensaver just kicked in. It's like, whoa, please. But let's say I use a so between the minor seventh, that note, and the major third of the major pentatonics, you create a tritone, and that's a really dissonant interval, and creates a lot of tension and a lot of, you know, kind of dirtiness. Same thing as then for the major sixth, which is inside of the major pentatonic, and the minor third comes from minor, of course. You know, and that's also really kind of neat. On an electric guitar, you could bend into each other or out of each other, but yeah, I don't do these videos with electric because it's there's an issue with the feedback and sound and, you know, the microphone and everything, so I can't do that. But on electric you can easily do that, right? But you know, that's something to remember. There's all these funny little things in there you can do. And lastly, what's really kind of neat is there's actually the diminished triad that comes from the minor third, the root note, the major sixth from major, the flat five, kind of blue note people call that, and another minor third and the root. So, you know, I don't play it like that all the time, but it's kind of interesting to you know, so, you know, try to see if you can come from the from that diminished thing. Some really neat, gives a lot of color, you know, in order to do that, you know, and you can play all the diminished licks, but you have to make sure that people will follow what you're playing, right? So you go back to the thing. So here we go, you know, try to add. Try to mix that up and try and see what you can come up with, basically. Okay, thanks. That was it so far. You saw the so some of the diagrams here over my shoulder. I didn't refer to them like all the time, but it was more like an hopefully find some inspiration and happy practicing. And the next installment, number 5, is going to be the big 5. It's going to be the, you know, the core, the root of the grand, what I call the grand unifying theory, because that's the kind of determines everything I do on the guitar, except for pentatonics. That's why I had to get it out of the way, and then we go for the big kahuna. Okay, thanks for watching, and next time, bye-bye.